Hi, cousins. We've reached a milestone together. This is the 3rd episode of this podcast, The Back Room at the Blue Whale. That's 3 more episodes than I ever thought I could do. Part of the reason I've started this podcast is because I made a promise to someone I love very much. She's the person I'm dedicating this episode to today. I made a promise to her that I would do a big, brave, scary thing. And for me, this is that big, brave, scary thing. I have a fear of public speaking, and I have horrible stage fright. I have a fear of performing in public. I don't consider myself a performer or a singer or an actress or anything like that. I'm too scared to do anything like that professionally. But the fact that I've decided to undertake this project and that you're all along with me for the ride means I guess I must be doing something right? Right? It's hard to do something new. It's hard to do a big, brave, scary thing. But you can do it. Whether it's hosting a podcast or dressing up for your first cosplay or getting up on a stage and performing. You can do it, cousin. I believe in you. Oh, gee, I better get going. I've got a wonderful cousin waiting for me down at the back room at the Blue Whale. You'll never guess who it is. Oh, you know? No, you don't know. You'll never guess who it is. Richard Halpern. The Richard Halpern. I know. I'm excited too. Come on, cousin. Let's go down to the back room at the Blue Whale. Yes. Okay. There we go.
He always opens every show, so go ahead. Go dance from Go boy Jake. I am the world's tiniest dark shadows fan. Yeah, oh yeah. How's that? That was wonderful.
That's a wonderful way to open a show. Wonderful.
Well, Catherine, it's good to see
you. Jake is a huge performer in a tiny package.
Yes, a huge performer with a tiny package. No, the package is not tiny. Go sit over there till it's your turn. All right, here we are.
Wonderful. So I'm going to title this episode "Doll Shadows" for obvious reasons. Yes.
That's the time.
I see that. That's awesome. And oh, awesome.
And of course, you can see Barnabas Dollins.
Mm-hmm.
And well, this is Jake's friend Leo Borelli, and he plays Willie, and Jake plays Adam Stokes. You get that joke, right? Only Dark Shadows fans are gonna get that joke. Adam Stokes, yes. But not Adam Carroll, not that Adam, but a real person named Adam Stokes. There we go. All right.
So we can start off with Doll Shadows. And I'll post, some of the pictures and the clips, that you sent me, and I'll post some of those. How did you come up with doll shadow? Where
Well,
did that?
that came from the fact that this is a go-go boy Jake here. You know, he is a real person, as you know. Yeah, I'm a real person. And there are several pages on Instagram that have photographs and scenarios of these action figures. Yeah, we don't call them a doll, right? Yeah, don't call me a doll. That's racist. That's racist if you call. I'm an action figure. All right, thank you very. Doesn't want to be destroyed. And several pages, very much like these action figures, are from a company called Phicen, Phicen. And as you can see, they're very lifelike. Oh, very lifelike, as are the faces. And they're better than any Barbie, or GI Joe. And some people have entire collections of these. The heads are what they call head sculpts, and you buy them separate. So you get a body with all, and you got to buy the clothes separate or hand me downs, and then you got to buy these heads separately. So you go look for head sculpts for Bison, whatever, 1/6. He's 1/6, which means he is 1/6 the size of a regular human being. So, like if he was 6 feet tall, they do that. So he's 1/6. So, yeah. Anyway, like I said, I got inspired to do it because I started creating content with Jake. He has his own little show. What's your little show called? It's called GoGo on the Go with GoGo Boy Jake. Because I'm going to, can I say? Yes, you can. I am the world's tiniest Go-Go Boy Go-Go dancer. And you can talk too, right? Oh, yeah.
Shake it, Jake, shake it.
All right. So we made this little travel show, and you go on his page. His first page on Instagram got disabled because it was too naughty, and it wasn't. So you got to understand, this is not a living person. I'm still living. Well, you know what I mean. So it's more like a barbell. So, and they popped him for nothing really. But what could I do? So we started the page over again. So we're starting to slowly introduce content, and we got about 13, 14 episodes of GoGo on the Go with GoGo Boy Jake. I just posted the pilot one and the second one, which is on there, and it's funny. It's like little travelogue.
They're funny.
Yeah, it's funny. We do that, and then we started doing. Let's see, what was the other thing? Yeah, doll shadows. Okay, you're gonna go over here for this. Okay. Okay. All right. I'm a member of the Collinsport Players. Now, for those people who don't know what the Collinsport Players is, in the festivals, Dark Shadows festivals, there's been a skit group since maybe the early 80s. I'm not sure when it began. I know Laura Brodian was one of the founders of it. And it's like a skit group. They write little skits about Dark Shadows and storylines, and fans in this group will play the different characters and stuff. So I got into it towards the late 80s because I had my own skits called Baby Dark Shadows, which are all up online on YouTube. You can, I think I sent you the link of it. Baby Dark Shadows. Go to YouTube and just write in Baby Dark Shadows. You'll see 4 episodes done between 1988 and 1991, I think. And it stars my niece and my nephews, who are now all grown up with kids of their own. My niece is a little boy is 14, going on 15, and so that's where I got some of the jokes from. We did some of the skits, writing those jokes. I wrote a couple of skits for the Dark Shadows Festival play. I wrote one called House Alone, which is based on Home Alone, where they go on a vacation and they leave David home by accident, and he's in the old house alone. And so Barnabas and Willie have to try to get in, and of course they're like the Daniel Stern and Joe Pesci characters, and so David's in there with Quentin. So that's this whole scene, Barnabas and Willie David. And then I also wrote The Spy Who Bit Me,
Yeah,
Austin
that,
Powers crossover,
yes.
and had a lot of original cast members in that one,
Mm-hmm.
including Laura Parker, who played Mrs. Evil, so like Dr. Evil's wife.
Mm-hmm.
Her daughter, Katie, played Miss Evil, like Scott, her name was Miss Evil. We had John Carlin as Willie.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. We had Diana Malay as Laura. We had, who else came? And then when we did it the second time, we had Christopher Pennock as Jeb,
Mm-hmm.
and of course Laura Parker remained as Mrs. Evil. And I'm sure I'm leaving somebody out, and if I am, I apologize. But that was kind of a risque show, and there were
Mm-hmm.
some jokes and lines in there that I kind of incorporated into this thing called Doll Shadows, which is I'll be honest, it's really X-rated. It's very dirty. So the only way you can get it to see it is you got to join Jake's OnlyFans. His OnlyFans GoGo Boy Jake, all one word. His Instagram is I am GoGo Boy Jake. You can join his Instagram. I am GoGo Boy Jake. And it's like a picture story with dialogue, which is printed up like a comic book. You know, some dialogue here, dialogue there. It runs just under 20 minutes, and it took forever to do it. And I kept trying
Mm-hmm.
to upload the pictures, and it would mess up the order. And anyway, then I decided I'm just gonna screenshot the phone, and I would move to the next picture, move to the next, and that's where it is now. If I'm certain I'm going to put together a completely G-rated version of it,
Mm-hmm.
um, because that'll be a lot better. And so that's where Doll Shadows came from. It was just from a love of Dark Shadows, and instead of Collins and Collinwood, it's Dollins,
Yes.
Dollinwood, Barnabas Dollins, like
Mm-hmm.
that. So that's it. Yeah, and Willie and his friend Adam, not the big monster Adam, but a character named Adam Stokes. If you
Mm-hmm.
get that, only Dark Shadows people are going to get that. Adam Stokes, right? Like, which I hope I didn't. I think I told you before we went on the air, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but not doing it twice. Okay, good. And yeah, and Barnabas is in. There's just the three of them, and it's pretty elaborate. It took forever to do it. So yeah, and then so that's where Doll Shadows came from. It's basically a really dirty skit.
I love it. I've got such a dirty mind too, but it's so wonderfully creative and funny, and it's just another extension of Dark Shadow's creativity. So I think anything to do with any kind of Dark Shadow's creative medium should be celebrated.
Oh
And
yeah, sure. It's the material. I mean, just the subject matter is. But you're right. It is about Dark Shadows. Everything pertains to it. Anything you see in it, you're going to recognize as
Mhm,
what it's supposed to represent as far as the show.
mhm,
And yeah, like I said, and then the other, like I said, we had the Colin Sport, all those skits. Jonathan Harrison has written a bunch of skits. Jeff Thompson has written a bunch of skits. Um, and speaking of the Collinsport players, this festival that's coming up is the 60th anniversary of the show because it went on the air in 1966. Here we are in 2026, and it's the 60th anniversary, and we've been told that this is the last
mhm,
one, the last festival. So we're going out with a bang, and I don't think there is going to be any room for a skit because it seems to me, just from what I've heard and what I've spoken, they are running this a little bit differently.
mhm,
And there's a different group. Well, Jim and of course Catherine Lee Scott, she's the matriarch of this whole. She is responsible for so much of
mhm,
the renaissance of the show, like in the 80s and stuff, with her books, My Scrapbook Memories of Dark Shadows. She went on to all the channels that were showing it and made it commercial. That's how we found it on, if you remember, Channel 56. the Snow Channel on UHF. That's where they were showing Dark Shadows and in reruns. I mean, they syndicated it there, and she made a commercial on that. Anyway, she's done so much for this show. She's a really smart lady. She's a great businesswoman. She knows how to do things, and she is very heavily involved with this, as she was with the Tarrytown one that they had last year. And I was not able to attend that, but it was run very differently. So we'll see. People have been asking me. I was the MC of these festivals for decades, and we don't know if I'm going to be the MC or not. I've been told that Jim Pearson is probably going to do it, and that's fine. But the reason he had an MC is because he kept having to run around all over the place. So I don't know what's going to, like I said, if they ask me to be the MC, that's fine, I'll do it. They've already asked me to host the costume contest. And this year, instead of being the costume gala, which they basically said, just show your costume and then take a bow, they're actually having prizes this time. So not sure what the prizes are, but bring your best costume and we'll check it all out, see what happens. But so I will be involved. I will be there all weekend. I will be there to help out, like I always have. And yeah, and so for the people that are now, Catherine, you're coming, right?
Yeah, I'm coming.
You're not? Are you going to drive?
Maybe. I may be coming up with someone, or I may take the train up.
Okay, because what's that? The green line or they took the colors away. They're there, but they call it the A, B, C, D. I don't know the letters, but I know the green line is the one that goes right to the airport.
Okay.
Okay, so yeah, that is an option, is to take the train from wherever you are. But if people who are local, who are going to have a car, whatever, I called the hotel, and do not, under any circumstance, park at the Westin. It's like $80, $30, $60, even with the discounts that you get for the event. It's outrageous. So my suggestion is since you're right there at the airport, there are a ton of lots and structures, garages all the way around. You can go online and Google, get the best price. Sometimes they give you a better price if you pre-book it, and park there for the days or whatever it is. And the good thing about or if you're in a hotel, if you're not in the Westin, but you're one of the local hotels nearby the airport, most of those little hotels have a shuttle that take you to the Westin or to the airport, and you can get to the Westin from the airport. I'll tell you, and I assume their parking at those little hotels may be less. I could be wrong. Like I said, just do your research. And the really cool thing is wherever you park, either it's at the garages, the lots, or one of these little hotels, they mostly all have shuttles that will take you to the airport. And that's cool because once you get to the airport, there is a shuttle from the Westin that will pick you up, take you to the Westin, take you back to the airport. And then you can get the Uber or whatever, or the shuttle from your hotel back. So that's the thing. People don't realize wherever you are, coming in, you can get that airport shuttle to the Westin and back again. So that's something I can help with. I can't help with anything else as far as rooms. A lot of people are doubling up. I'm actually staying with a friend of mine who's coming in from New York. And, and I'll be driving out there before the thing starts because he's coming in for a few days before. But when I'm actually at the thing, I'll probably park. I have a lot that I park in when I travel. I'll probably just park there and then, come home. So that's that. So, do you have any questions, my dear?
Boy, do I have a lot.
Go ahead.
But one thing I was thinking about, so when you were talking about The Spy Who Bit Me, which was brilliant, and not everyone knows that you are the Austin Powers impersonator, and
Thank you, David.
and you're just brilliant at that. Went viral not too long ago. There was that clip going around as Austin, and that was so exciting. You know, that was wonderful.
Well, thank you.
And I love it. And you know, you have been all over America with Austin, and possibly, you know, other countries as well, you know. And I mean, it's phenomenal. It really is.
Thank you.
I'm such a huge fan of yours, and I know I tell you this all the time, you know.
Likewise.
But I just think that is such an amazing, wonderful thing, you know, because I mean, you bring joy to so many people just being you. And you know, you're going out and you're doing this great thing. You're doing birthday shout outs and any kind of, you know, messages that, you know, people can book, and they can bring some of that joy you know, to their friends and their family, and that is just phenomenal. You know, it is. But you know, one thing in all of your travels, you know, what has it been like when you're out just kind of traveling the world and out traveling America, and you run into not only, like, you know, Austin Powers fans, but Dark Shadows fans? I mean, is there that kind of instant like lighting up and joy and, you know?
When I do stuff out of state, out of the country, there's not too many people that would associate me as Austin with Dark Shadows.
Mm-hmm.
But I do get remembered for different podcasts that I've been on. There was one called Yeah, But Still, which apparently was this really, really big one, and it was hosted by Brandon Wardell, who's a stand-up comic and actor, and Jack Wagner, not Jack Wagner from Melrose Place or General Hospital. All I need is just a little more time. That's, if you know Jack Wagner's General Hospital, you're gonna get that joke. And it was a really popular podcast, and we did it live like this, where you see people, and that just everybody will come up to me and say, I loved you on Yeah, But Still. Even when I'm in the supermarket and just dressed without anything, or a mask. They say, I love your work. I love your work. And they say, you're Halpern. I said, how do you know it's me? You know? And even without this, I said, how do you know it's me? And they said, well, we went to your page and we saw you. And also, when I worked at a club called the Electric Pussycat in Glendale, it was from like 2018 or 17 to 19. It just imploded. The owners, when it was good, it was very, very good. And it was an Austin Powers themed bar, like a club, and upstairs there was like drinking and dancing, and it was really a fun place. And it's closed in like just a little after, almost through 2020, and before the pandemic. And everybody said, "Oh, I used to go say, you were at the Electric Pussycat. I used to go down the." And in fact, that's where Brandon Wardell first saw me, was at the Electric Pussycat. So that's why he wound up reaching out. He used to come on to my live shows. I do have a live thing I do on Instagram called Austin's Power Hour, where I'm Austin and we talk about anything like entertainment and stuff, and dating advice, and all this fun stuff we do, mostly comedic things, and he gets a little naughty in there. Jake is on there, GoGo Boy Jake is on there, dances, and he's played Santa's elf, and he's probably going to play Cupid because we got Valentine's Day coming up. He's the New Year's baby, the Easter bunny. He plays all the little holiday things. And so, yeah, people will know me from that as well. They join my page, and then I'll see people at appearances, and they'll say, oh, yeah, I follow you. And then we had not me personally, they had a screening last year, of all 3 Austin Powers films. the International Man of Mystery, Spy Who Shagged Me, and Goldmember, all three were shown together at the Academy Museum of Motion Pictures in Beverly Hills. And I went, dressed up, and I put on my page, I'm going to be there. So everybody should come. And people showed up, in addition to seeing all the Austin Powers, but to see me. And I thought, this is great. So how much fun is that? So yeah, as I said, I get more people recognizing me from other Austin things as opposed to Dark Shadows. When we go to these festivals, people will come up and say, "Oh, I remember when you did this, and I was the, and something like that." But I don't. They don't meld together. Each one has its own separate thing. Like the Dark Shadows people will remember me from such and such. The Austin Powers people will remember me from such and such. This is Austin. This is Dark Shadows. But yeah.
And you just had another big kind of moment and big milestone when you did Monster, and you did.
Oh yeah.
And
Anybody out there who is a horror movie fan, let me guess. Catherine, do you think anybody that watches your podcast might be a fan of horror and suspense and the supernatural and murder and all this?
do
Okay,
I?
well, then you're a lot. Ryan Murphy, of course, has this series called Monster. And of course, the first one he did was Jeffrey Dahmer, which won all kinds of Emmys and stuff. The next one was the Menendez brothers, which it's because of that show that they got another trial, which they lost because they're all bad boys in prison. They talk about how well misbehaved they are. But they were back in the news because of that show. And then the third one is about Ed Gein, who was the originator and the inspiration. He was this horrible serial killer. And the things that he did, and some of the things that he did, inspired several major movies. Of course, one being Silence of the Lambs, like the Buffalo Bill, whatever. He tries to make a suit made out of a real woman, which this Ed Gein apparently did. Psycho, where I don't want to give too much about it, but another type of a thing with that Ed Gein apparently did. And then probably the most famous one, the most violent one, was Texas Chainsaw Massacre in 1974, which had, of course, Leatherface with a real woman's face on him, and the things all around the house were skulls and lampshades made of skin, and it just that's real Ed Gein stuff. Anyway, part of the story that they did on Monster, on the Ryan Murphy thing, is they recreated the things that this Ed Gein did, these horrors that Ed Gein did, and they also explored the different movies that he inspired. And of course, they did something about Silence of the Lambs. They did something about Psycho, Anthony Perkins and Tab Hunter, which was complete BS. Yeah, they were playing around. Not what they showed in that show. They embellished a little bit. Well, they also did a reenactment of some scenes in Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And first one they did was kind of the end of the famous dinner scene in Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And I'm in that scene. We recreated the end of that scene, and I play the character who was played by Jim Seadow. He was referred to as the cook, the old man. We don't know if that's the father, and we don't know what reference the old man is. They assume it meant, my dad, my old man. And the cook, he wasn't just the cook. There's a whole big thing about it. Anyway, I reenacted part of that scene. So I'm on for 7 seconds, but what is 7 seconds? I mean, everybody loved that scene because it was so scary. And then the people that really know Texas Chainsaw Massacre were like, wow, that's great. This was so good that you recreated it. And then in the next episode, there's a much more extended story about Texas Chainsaw Massacre. They do some more scenes in that. They really go in depth about Toby Hooper and stuff, and it all goes back to being based on Ed Gein. But yeah, out of those two scenes, I'm in the end of the third episode. And apparently, if you go on YouTube and you type in Ed Gein, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, my scene comes up. I don't know if that's still true, if they didn't take it down or what. But those of you who have Netflix and have already seen Texas, Ed Gein, I'm in the back going, "Hey, grandma, come on, grandma, come on, hey, grandma." The cigarette laugh. So that's me doing that part. So yeah, that's kind of fun that I got a chance to do that, and a lot of people took notice of it. I actually wasn't even sure if I was going to be in the show. I was going to make it in the cut because I was told when we were shooting it that Ryan Murphy likes to shoot a ton of stuff and then cut, 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 cut. So I didn't even know until it aired. And I had joined all the Texas Chainsaw Massacre fan groups just to stay on top of it. Right away, the morning after it aired, somebody took a video of their TV screen. And there I was in the back. So that's when I wrote up there. Yes, I made it. And that was me. That was me. And I had my 15. I had 7 seconds of fame and then another 15 seconds of fame after that. So now it's a lot of fun, though. Very nice people. And it was great.
It's great. I love seeing you just pop up in something, and I get so excited when you did that commercial several years ago with Martin Sheen.
Yeah,
that was so exciting. The first time it came on, I jumped up and screamed, and my dad was like, "What's going on?" "That's Richard Halpern. I know him." And I'm jumping up and down. I'm like, "Oh my God, he's on TV!" And my dad was like, "Okay, it's okay." And I was like, "But you don't understand."
Exactly. Come on, Dad.
And I was so excited for you.
Oh, that was a gift from God. I mean, everything's a gift from God, Catherine. We're both very spiritual and stuff. But let me tell you, I don't do a lot of commercials. I do not do a lot of commercials. That one I got. It was December of 2019. We shot it on December 16th of 2019 up in the Valley. And Mindy Sterling, who was Frau Farbissina in the Austin Powers films, who's a friend of mine, she was in the commercial too, which I didn't know. And as I'm leaving, she's coming in and she's in curlers and says, "Oh my God." And then I think the young lady who was the AT&T young lady for a while, I think she was in it too, like an influencer. You see her holding the camera up, but like I said, we shot that on December 16th of 2019. And you all know what happened in March of 2020. Everything shut down. And because of that commercial, we got all these residuals and were able to eventually get unemployment. And just the extra 900, the extra 600, whatever it was, we were entitled to all of that stuff. And like I said, that fell in our laps right when we needed it. God gives us things we need, and He'll say, well, if you don't get something, you didn't need it or something. If you do get it, you needed it. I think you need it, whatever. But that was really a lifesaver, not just for me, for Mindy and the young lady. Her name was Molly, who played the pharmacist. And I didn't know any of the other people. I knew of the girl, the young lady with the AT&T. I didn't know her. I didn't really meet her. But yeah, it was a godsend for that because it really got us through that horrible time. And yeah, you can find that online too if you just go to YouTube or just Google Martin Sheen single care. It's all one word, single care. And it starts out with, "This is larceny. How can you pay so much money for these kids?" Yeah. So you can see that. So yeah, that was a blessing. So yeah, that was a lot of fun to do. So.
Well, you mentioned COVID-19 and lockdown, and a lot of people actually got into Dark Shadows during lockdown. because they were home, and they'd seen on TV, or they were surfing the web or something. And I've met quite a few people who said that they discovered the show, during lockdown, and they didn't have anywhere to be, and so they could sit and binge watch stuff, and they got into the show that way.
Now, what was Tubi running it at that
I
time, or
think
do
because
you
it was
know
on
what?
different things for a while, and then they take them off. It was on Pluto for a while, and then so many seasons were on Amazon Prime, and then so I'm not exactly sure where it was playing when, because at one point it was on several different things. It was on Amazon Prime, Tubi, and Pluto, and I think there was something else too that was showing it, or something. But I met a couple people, even people like my age or younger, that have just in the past few years through streaming services and things, and that's how they've discovered it, on Tubi and things like that. How did you discover Dark Shadows? How did you fall into this fandom?
Well, I'm an OG, original gangster. Um, my sister, who's 9 years older than I am,
Mm-hmm.
was the one, I ran home from school to watch Dark Shadows. That was her.
Mm-hmm.
I was much younger, so I remember seeing it, and I didn't. There was all this talking. Why are they talking? I want to see vampires. I want to see monsters. So it was. It's all this talking. It's all this talking. But I do remember seeing one episode where I guess I've seen it now. Evan Hanley falls into the crypt or whatever, and his eyeball comes out
Mm-hmm.
into that. So I remember that eyeball thing. I remember that. And then I remember when the movie House of Dark Shadows,
Mm-hmm.
that I really, really got me into, think about Barnabas. And I found this metal, like a curved metal thing with red and white stripes, and that was my cane. And I had this jacket, and I pushed the collar up, so that was my Barnabas thing. And I almost got killed. I made a coffin out of it was a cardboard box, a long box, that was my coffin.
Mm-hmm.
And my sister-in-law said, the first time I met you, you were in a coffin in the living room, at your house. And one time it was in the driveway. We had a circular driveway like this, and when we lived in New York on Long Island, and I was apparently on the driveway inside this coffin, and talk about spiritual. In front of my sister, got this message saying, "Go get him," go get him, go get him. And so she comes outside, and just as she came outside, my brother was driving up in the driveway. He was gonna run over that box, but she called my name, and I popped up, and he stopped. So I may have been in a coffin, and they went to buy me a new coffin. I was already in the. So
Mm-hmm.
that kind of was up. But yeah, just as like a little kid, and then they started running it again, years later in like the 80s, late 80s, 87 or whatever year they started it, or 80s, what, on Channel 56. Like I said, that was UHF, which we don't have that anymore. We called it the Snow Channel. It was in Anaheim. It was always fuzzy. They started running it in syndication. And by this time, my sister's grown up, and she tells the kids, her daughter, Angelique, who she wasn't named after Angelique on the show. She was named, I think, a character from Gene Tierney or something. And Damien and Edward and Jordan, those were all the kids. And my niece is the one who really took to the show. And she was about 8, I guess. She was a little girl. My sister said, "You got to watch this show because there are all of these mistakes and they leave them in." And she said, somebody's eyelash falls into a drink. I've never, so we're looking for that, and that never happened. That must have been another soap opera. So it's almost like, find the treasure, So we're watching this show, and of course you see things flying off, and think something falls down, and this kind of thing. So they're laughing, and then we started making up our own skits. We were playing Dark Shadows, And then they had the video camera, so we decided to start filming them. So yes, I was into it as a little kid. I had the game, the Barnabas game, where
Mhm.
the skeleton like Hangman, and you had the fangs. I had the fangs. I had a roadster or something, and he's in a coffin. There's a little Barnabas in a coffin. And then there were these models I had, but they were rubber, and you're supposed to glue them down. How do you glue these together? And supposed to. Anyway, I had that, and some of the paraphernalia from that show as a little kid. So I was really aware of it. But it was all about Barnabas, Barnabas. And then, like I said, later in life, this happens. I'm in my late 20s, and we're watching this, and that's how I kind of got into it. And then, this is really bizarre. After we did the Baby Dark Shadows, there was an advertisement in one of the local papers for join the West Hollywood Dark Shadows fan club. And so we went to the meeting, and Louis Wendruck, who you probably know, Louis. This was years ago, and he'd have these little meetings in the meeting room of his apartment complex. And stars came, Lara Parker came, and John Carlin. I think Catherine came, and the kids. We brought the kids in, and it was a little tough for them because everybody looked kind of strange. Gee, have you ever heard of anybody strange looking or acting in any of our Dark Shadows? I've never have. Have you? No, but anyway, the kids were like, but we showed these Baby Dark Shadows, and everybody flipped, and they said, "Oh, this is great, this is great." And then we wound up going to a festival. They showed them there. So that's how I met the Collinsport players. They saw that and they wanted me in the skit. They especially wanted the little kids because now we have David or Amy, and they're the right age as opposed. So, but that's how. And then, of course, the problem with it being in the normal syndication is they start it from a certain point, which is not the beginning, and they end it, which is not at the end. So you only get a chunk of it. Of course, everybody thinks you got to start with Barnabas being there when there's a whole year of backstory that is so important, very important. And so when I found out it was running on Tubi, I started watching it like every day, and well, more than one episode every day because I'm cooking or doing whatever. And I had never seen the show all the way through, ever. So I watched the whole thing, started over again. So now I'm at parallel time, and but you're my mother. No, I'm not. I'm your aunt, but you're my mother. I'm there with it right now. This is the same thing like Mad Men. I remember the show Mad Men, the early 2000s, whatever it was. And the only reason I started watching it because my friend Robert Morse was one of the characters in it. And I was a friend of his, big Broadway star, How to Succeed in Business Without Really Trying, and several others. We were friends. So I started watching it because of him. So, of course, I got engrossed in the show. So I watched it when it was originally on. Well, years later on DirecTV, which I no longer have, they had a station called the Audience Channel. And every day at 4, whatever, they would show an episode of Mad Men. They showed the whole series in order, episode 1. And as soon as it ended, the next day, season 1, episode 1. I watched that through about 5 times, and I could record it. This is, we did record a show easier than you can with Spectrum, but yeah. So the same thing with this Tubi, and then the thing with Tubi is, it has commercials, tiny little commercial breaks. That's it, little tiny breaks, and it's worth it. It's so worth it. So anyone out there, because I don't have Amazon Prime, it's not on Netflix apparently, but if you want to watch something for free, if you want to watch Dark Shadows for free from beginning to end, the beginning part is called Dark Shadows: The Beginning. And that's a separate thing. But you know when it ends because it starts over again. Then you go to regular Dark Shadows, which does start with Barnabas being discovered and stuff. But yeah, you got to watch the whole thing because so much is explained and so much character development and exposition of who this person was. Mrs. Johnson, how did she wind up that, oh, she was doing this and this, you know, you just get a lot of exposition from that
Yeah.
first thing. But that's, yeah, like I said, I probably became a fan by watching it on TV. You know,
Mhm.
as it got older, as a little kid, I couldn't care. But the movie, you know, movies
Mhm.
move quicker, you know, move along. Um, but yeah, but I'm from the original olden days of Dark Shadow.
Yeah, I started on sci-fi, and I had kind of heard of it, but I didn't really know anything about it. My parents both watched it, and I had graduated high school, and it was the summer, and I was channel surfing, and I saw this gorgeous man in Victorian attire, kind of brooding. I went, "What is this?" And I was hooked. And of course, it was Quentin when he was a ghost, and that's where I started watching, and I watched from there all the way to like the end. And by the time I went to my first festival in 2004, it hadn't, gone around. So there was so much I didn't know. Who's Vicky? What does this mean? What's I didn't know. And I
The
remember
whole show. That the show's about her.
and I remember meeting Betsy Durkin and the second Victoria Winters. I'm like, she's really nice. I don't know who she is, but she's really nice. So I was happy to take a picture with her and meet her. I didn't know who the hell she was, but she was very nice. And then eventually I got to, watch from the beginning, and it's like, oh, that makes sense. Oh, okay, so this is what happened with Josette. Okay, so this is what, and then things really made sense, because when I first jumped in, I mean, I jumped in and I didn't know what was going on. Even the first episode I watched, I'm like, is this a movie? Is this a TV show? What is this? Are these two little kids? There's this evil ghost. Abe Vigoda was there. I didn't know what was going on, but I was hooked, and it
Well,
was
isn't that
wonderful.
interesting? Yeah, it grabs you, and then the fact that now it is so readily available. I mean, yeah, they had the videotapes and the DVDs and stuff, but there's nothing that you gotta, you're doing this. It's not
Hmm.
like an old record player where it plays the next record, then it plays it. You gotta get up and you gotta put the new one. Whereas you just push a button and you watch it, and the only advantage of the DVDs and the tape, there's no commercials. So I mean, like I said, this is not like you get 5,000 commercials. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's so good that one little segment
Hmm.
can grab you and say, "Wow, what is this? I want to see the rest of this, or I want to see what happened before." And things like that. So that's really great. And a lot of times, and you've probably been there when they've done this at the festival, is they'll say, "What? How many people? How have their kids watching Dark Shadow? Little kids are. So how'd you start watching it? My dad showed it to me on, or we have the DVDs or stuff, whatever." Different things. How did you start watching it? And people will say, "Oh, you get all these different stories of how these people started watching it, and then of course the original fans now have their kids watching it, and they're loving it and stuff." And I bet with this one, I'm going to say how many people just started watching the show or just found out about the show from Tubi. Or how many
Hmm.
people watch this on Tubi? How many people watch this on Anaheim Prime? Sorry, Amazon Prime. Anaheim, for those of you, it's the city in Orange County where Disneyland is. So and Channel 56, which I don't know if it's even still there. But yeah, so it's going to be interesting to see how many people have just now seen the show. How many people saw it from the beginning in the old days and stuff. So we always ask that kind of thing. That's always asked, and hopefully I'll be able to ask something. I'm sure I'll
Hopefully.
get. And when nothing's really decided, it's such a long way off. Um, but yeah, the availability of Dark Shadows is so much better now because, like I said, you got it on Tubi. Hopefully, it won't run out of Tubi because you literally, as easy as it can be, you get to see the entire show. And like I said, if you stick with it, start it over. Let me watch Dark Shadows every day, you know. So yeah, so there you go. So
Do
and
you
you
do
got
you have
anything like you said, you just had seen a clip of, or it started with David and Amy and Clinton at the Ghost.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. All right, okay, very good.
Yeah. Do you have any favorite Dark Shadows memories, like in moments of the show? I mean, besides with the eyeball that just really, stick with you.
Well, a better eyeball was, of course, Josette.
Mm-hmm.
Lift your veil, and no, she lifts, and of course, her eyeballs popping out, and he's going, no, no, and that's one of the baby Dark Shadows where
Mm-hmm.
the dream curse, and so they open one of the doors, and it's her with her. We had a silly putty, half the egg of silly putty, and put the putty on it, and that was her eyeball. And what happens is, um, she's doing this. Oh, there's a fan blowing. Then they slam the door and they open it again. She's going, and then she slam it again. But yeah, that was pretty cool. Oh, the best thing, let me tell you about the best Dark Shadows moment. Now, my best favorite storyline used to be 1795. Now it's like 1897 because it's so much like the Wild Wild West. Remember that show?
Mm-hmm.
Very much like the Wild Wild West, which was very popular at like the same time. And Petofi and those people and all that. But I would say the funniest thing, even funnier than some of the bloopers, and there's some really good ones, is you see skeletons with eyeballs and wigs.
Mm-hmm.
That is, and once was with a wig and a hat.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody did the I Ching and messed it up,
Yeah.
and she's dead. And the skull is cut here, which everyone's skull is automatically cut across
Mm-hmm.
and she's got this pot and her wig and eyeballs, and that's the end of it. And that's hilarious. And why is Reverend Trask behind the wall when they find him? He's completely nude. There's no clothes. There's just bones. Didn't know that either. And he didn't have a first name.
No,
Now,
the Reverend Trask.
Lamar Trask, there was Gregory Trask, and I'm convinced now because I think the family really was religious.
Mm-hmm.
His first name was
Reverend.
I'm just going to say his
Like
first
the sheriff, whose first name was Sheriff, and
Sheriff Patterson. Yeah, Sheriff not Patterson. Sheriff
Davenport with the
Davenport.
zombie.
Tombstone says
Yeah,
Sheriff Davenport. Like, wow. Yeah, his first name was Sheriff. Yeah, that was hilarious. That Sheriff Davenport. Oh, so yeah, in unexplained things like what was Reverend Trask person? Let's ask Jerry Lacey.
Mm-hmm.
Let's ask him that. What was Reverend Trask's first name?
So I've got one kind of final question.
Yes.
What do you want to see happen with Dark Shadows going forward? Do you want a new series? Do you want like a reboot series? Do you want a continuation series? Do you want a attempt at a movie? What do you think?
Well, I think by this time it's pretty much its own little world with the television thing being so available.
Mm-hmm.
The first two movies, of course, one, of course, was the retelling of Josette, and that the second movie. Okay, it's important. It's very important in Dark Shadows universe, Night of Dark Shadows. Very
Mm-hmm.
important because of what it was and who's in it. I did not enjoy it. I'm not a fan of that movie. Was it a bad movie? No. Was it made badly? No. Was the acting bad? No. That's just not my thing with it. And then, of course, I had so many, and I'm sure you and many other people had such incredibly high hopes for the Johnny Depp version, the Tim Burton version, which it could have been monumental.
Yeah.
It started it out
First
very
5 minutes were like yes, and then
very serious, and then they turned it into this stupid comedy thing, and it was like a very expensive, high budget Collins Sport players skit.
Mm-hmm.
Like, are you stoned? They tried stoning me, it didn't work. That's the kind of a joke that you hear one of our skits. And so, and then of course they completely wasted Jonathan Frid. They completely wasted David Selby. They completely wasted Laura, Catherine. They wasted them completely. They could have been in bigger cameos. Hell, even a Brady Bunch movie had the real Brady in
Yeah.
significant little parties walking into the party, and they really they blew that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure what went on there. I've asked a certain person who will remain nameless, but I'll tell you later, who was just really angry when I said, "What was the deal?" And so you probably know who it is, but
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you who it was. And so I don't anything that person says, I always with a grain of salt. But I think they really missed the mark, and I'm sad because Tim Burton is absolutely a brilliant director, and
Mm-hmm.
Johnny Depp, of course, brilliant. And they had some really good people in there. They really had some good people.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, anybody who plays Abe Lincoln's sons has to have already played David Collins. Because
Mm-hmm.
in Lincoln, Joey Gordon Levitt played Abe
Mm-hmm.
Lincoln's son, and the littler son was played by the little boy who played David in the Dark Shadows movie. And of course, Joseph Gordon Levitt was Dark Shadows on the TV series.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, I'm sorry. I had such high hopes for that movie, and it just kind of fell flat. And but
We were both at the Vista that night watching the one
that
you
movie,
yeah
I don't
you were
remember.
you there?
I don't
I
remember where I saw it. I don't
no
think it was at the Vista. But
okay.
the thing is this: even though I didn't like it, I didn't like
Mm-hmm.
Night of Dark Shadows. But that movie, Tim Burton, is it important as part of the Dark Shadows universe? Yes, majorly important, whether you liked it or not. It's a very important part of the whole Dark Shadows umbrella. The TV series was kind of good. Of course, the 1991 revival, which was basically blown off the air because of the war,
Mm-hmm.
that was pretty good. That could have gone longer. Then, of course, there was the unaired, almost finished pilot for Warner Brothers, which I've seen. Have you seen that, Catherine?
Mm-hmm.
That was great. That was terrific. I thought that was good, and I'm sorry that that didn't make it. But I think at this point, since the original material is so readily available as far as this, I think they should just leave it alone. There's not. What are they going to do at this point? It has a beginning, a middle, and an end. If we do a story moving on, and then well, who are these people? What's the backstory? It would have to. I just don't think there's room for anything else in it at this time. They keep trying to bring it back. It's just not the same. Now, please, somebody out there tell me I'm wrong, and maybe they will do it, and it'll be this phenomenal thing. I would love that. Absolutely love that. But because besides being a phenomenal thing, it's going to draw attention and awareness to the original material, which I think the Johnny Depp movie did.
Mm-hmm.
How many people started watching the original series because of the Johnny Depp movie? We'll see how many people raise their hands and stuff like that. So whether you
I've
liked it or not,
heard of a few.
huh?
I've heard of a few that actually they watched that movie and it led them to the series because they had so many people like their parents or somebody's going, "This is not Dark Shadows. Let me show you Dark Shadows."
Yeah, well, there you go. It's something like that. You have the diehards who are going to say, what is this? This is not what So, but if you've never seen it, oh, this is funny. They're climbing the wall and kissing, and that's funny because little kids want to see that. So look, whatever. If it made money, good. I don't know if it made money or not. Um, but like I said, it wasn't my cup of tea, but
Mhm.
it's important, very important film.
Yeah.
So I'll give it that. So there you go. So, what do you think, Catherine? Do you think they should leave it as it is, or do you hope there is something beyond that someone
Well,
would create?
the one thing I could maybe see them doing is if they were to go with something like a Netflix series that would sort of be a continuation where maybe they would have some of the original actors like Catherine Lee Scott and Nancy Barrett come in and they're playing their original characters, but they're bringing out stories of Collinsport and they're unearthing all of these news stories, kind of like with the Big Finish audio dramas getting new stories that weren't on the original series, and they're expanding on that. And maybe they could kind of have some kind of flashback to the original show that would tie in to these stories.
That's a great idea.
That I could see.
And did you see Castle Rock?
I haven't, no.
You got to see that, because what you just said,
Uh-huh.
exactly what they did in Castle Rock. Now, Castle Rock is on Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
It's a series. There's like two parts of the series. One section deals with one person, and the second section deals with another person. But they're all in the same town, and it's the Stephen King universe. There are references. The Shawshank Prison is in there. There's a reference to Stand By Me. There's reference to Misery. So all of these Stephen King things are in there. It is like, and it's like things you never saw or what. And but yes, it does delve deeper into some of the backstory of some of the characters from the Stephen King movies. Plus, it expands. So what you just said about your hopes or thoughts about a continuation or a reboot or whatever of Dark Shadows is exactly what they did in Castle Rock. So try to get it, if you can see. If somebody has Netflix, they could send. I have a friend, whatever you want to see, can send me. Yeah, so you don't even need Netflix. Who's got, whatever. But I'm sure it's available. But definitely Castle Rock. I'm sure a lot of your friends and people in our group know Castle Rock, because again, supernatural and this kind of thing. But yeah, you got to see that, because you're on the same wavelength.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I think I enjoyed it very much. I think you will as well. So.
Well, it sounds like it. It sounds wonderful,
man.
and that actually, I said it was my last question, but I actually do have one more small question. So I had the best time with you when we went on the bus to Greystone, and and you're telling the story and everything. Are you going to do that again? Are you going to be our tour guide to Greystone?
Well, I've mentioned all these things as ideas that I had where I could be useful if I wasn't the director, I wasn't the MC. And one of the things I asked about was, what about the Greystone? And she said Joanna Going is going to lead that tour, which that would be kind of cool, because she's in the she played Vicky. She played Vicky, right, in the 1991.
Just that.
And they shot that at Greystone, so that'd be kind of cool. The reason I was telling the story on the bus was because I don't know if you remember, there was this huge mix-up with the bus.
We were on the school bus.
Yeah.
And the bus wasn't big enough, and they put us on the school bus.
Well, yeah, she ordered these buses. They didn't, and Mary O'Leary put that whole thing together last year, the Remembrance Weekend. She worked so hard and got nothing but stuff dumped on her, and she really deserves a Purple Heart. She did so well with that, and so much of it was just her. Well, one of the things was, we wound up with school buses, and they had to bring different. But anyway, they sent one bus over, and then another bus was gonna. So she told me, because I was supposed to give the little tour at the same time with both buses. Everybody gets there, and I'm supposed to be doing it on the grounds of the thing, people walking around. Then they gather around to hear the story. I concentrated on the murders that committed there, and I did all this research on it, and that's was my story of it. And the reason you heard it on the bus that time is because they said they said to me, tell the story on the way over to this bus. And then when you get there with the second bus, then tell the story for the people that are there on site. So I got it twice. And were you with us when we were you were with us when we were heading over, right? Okay, yeah. Remember I was given a tour of Sunset Boulevard. Everywhere we went, I was pointing out.
And you're pointing out, what was it, the Safeway, the Rock and Roll Safeway, or whatever.
Yeah.
All the different the clubs and everything. That was wonderful. I loved it.
And there was a lady though that just kept talking and I God bless her. But
Mhm.
I was like, I'm talking loud like this because I didn't want to say, would you please be quiet? I didn't want to be rude to her. I
Mhm.
did not want to be rude to that woman. So I just talk louder. That's all I do is talk. Because I'm not going to be, I'm not that guy, as you know. You know. Yeah, that was a lot of fun doing that. But no, this year I've been told it's going to be Joanna going. And I'm glad they asked me to do the costume thing, which is great.
Mhm.
And I was going to be involved anyway. I was planning to go no matter
Mhm.
what. I was going to go. And then Jim Pearson wrote to me and said, "Would you like to do this costume?" I said, "Yes, absolutely." And I didn't ask. I said, "Anything else you need me to do? I'll be on site. Whatever you want me to do." And that's where we're going to leave it. Um, like I said, it's a million years away. It's 6 months and something. We have the whole thing to do before it. And every day there's something new that comes out about it.
Mhm.
And so, I post on my Facebook and I'll put something public so that the people in the different Dark Shadows groups can share it. And I'm
Oh.
usually sharing something that I've found and adding to it, like the whole thing about the parking and that. I wanted to talk about that as well. But yeah, that was a lot of fun, and I don't even remember the names of the people that were involved with the murders, but I do
Mhm.
remember the whole story about that. That was really bizarre. So I have to let him go inside this time because we can, remember we couldn't go inside
We could go
and stay
inside.
outside.
Mhm.
Yeah, so hope please God they'll let him go inside this time.
Like,
So yeah, there you go. So
well, you are just absolutely wonderful, and I am so thankful that you had free time to talk to me today because I know how busy you are. You're
well,
go go go. Every time I look, you're traveling somewhere. You're always busy. So I'm so
good. Well, thank you. It's been my pleasure. And if anybody online would like to reach me on Instagram, I have two pages. I have the Richard Halpern page, which is RIC Halpern. So it's RICHALPERN. And then the other page I have is the Austin Powers impersonator page, which is Austin Powers impersonator, all one word. Not Austin Power,
Mhm.
Austin Powers, the plural, impersonator, all one word. And we already mentioned Go Go Boy Jake. It's I am Go Go Boy Jake. So that would be IAMGOGOBOYJAKE. That's the Instagram, and that's the best way to reach me.
Wonderful. Well, you have a wonderful night, and I can't wait to see you in 6 months or whenever it is. And I'm going to give
Yes,
you the big
indeed.
hug, and I guess Jake is going to be there, so Jake
Yeah,
gets a
he's
hug
gonna be
too.
there. He's gonna be there. Are you gonna be there? I'm gonna be there. I want to see. I want to see Quentin again. He's a nice man. I'll just see everybody. Don't worry, I'll be there. All right. He has fans all around the country. You know that. And
Hmm.
some of them are coming and they're ecstatic that he's going to be there. So, yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Give him
That's
his own
that's
seat at the
wonderful.
autograph table, right?
Oh, that's wonderful. Well, I will. Well, I will let you go, and I'll let Jake go because you're busy fellas. You're very busy. And I'll see you at the event, and I'm sure I'll talk to you before, and I'll let you know when this comes out. And I love you. I absolutely love you. You are so wonderful.
Thank you. Likewise. All right, love. We'll talk soon.
Talk soon. Have
Bye
a good
bye.
night. Night, Jake. Mwah. Aw, tuckered out already. Aw. No.
That coffin, see that?
Hmm. Uh-huh.
That was part of the swag from the new series. Did you get one?
No.
Okay, well, they were handing out these little wooden coffins that's there, and inside there is a little tiny can of tomato juice. There's a garlic bulb. There's a rubber bat, and there's fangs, and I think there's a cross. What do you call rosary or something? I don't know. And they handed these out, and in the year, because I'm not an autograph person. I don't, that I wanted signed by as many people as I even brought it last year and had people sign. And Laura Parker, she knew me very well. We knew each other, and she knew that I was not. Can I have your autograph? Can I have? She knew I wasn't. So I brought that over to her, and she goes. She looks. I said, I know. This is something special. Yes. Hey, no filter on her. That lady, she told it like it was, Okay, my love. Take care. We'll talk to you soon.
Hey, you have a good night.
Good
Bye.
night.
Bubblegum cards and pinups help fuel my secret dreams. Everyone at school just thinks it's cool to read all the teen magazines, but for me it's special. They help my fantasies that I can't tell anyone about. No one understands me. I feel a kinship with Barnabas Collins. He too has something to hide. I feel like there's something wrong with me because of how I feel inside. Every afternoon after school, my heart beats faster with glee. I run home and
So I'm gonna get my hand on them before I leave Dollinwood forever.
I think you're making a big mistake, but I'm here to make sure nothing happens to you.
When I saw you that first night in Martinique, I was drawn as a moth to a flame. Those dark eyes held such mystique. My heart fluttered when you asked my name, and smiling I told you, Angelique. And I held you close till morning came. I saw the beauty of the sunrise while nestled within your arms. I saw the hazy passion in your eyes turn briefly to a moment of alarm. How you worried about the time, and how my reputation could be harmed. You'll be mine in time, I guarantee. How could you reject me, mon chéri? I wanted to be respectable, but all I got was sin. But you'll find out that Angelique wins. mademoiselle made up her mind, and more I lived in our fantasy, and deeper in love I fell each time. I was determined then you'd marry me, and darling, I mean to keep what's mine. You'll be mine in time, I guarantee. How could you reject me, mon chéri? I wanted to be respectable, but all I got was sin. But you'll find out that Angelique wins. Yes, beautiful and enchanting I may be, but you don't know the power of me. Oh, Barnabas, you'll learn, you'll see why you must make your bride your Angelique. You'll be mine in time, I guarantee. How could you reject me, mon chéri? I wanted to be respectable, but all I got was sin. But you'll find out that Angelique wins.
Collinwood in the year 1897. Barnabas Collins is wanted for being a vampire, and Magda Rakosi waits for her husband, who is prisoner of the vampire.
Barnabas, what are you going to release? My husband. I have set him free. I have come back. Sandor, you have come back.
I must return to my grave.
But Barnabas, it's too dangerous.
Why is it dangerous?
Well, someone might catch you, and Barnabas, please, you gotta stay here. Please, Barnabas. It's for your own good. Please, don't
I
go.
have to. If I don't get back to my grave by dawn, I'll die.
Then have Sandor walk you. That's the least he can do. Goodbye, my darling Sandor. Goodbye.
Bye, Magda.
That's my darling. Goodbye, Sandor. Goodbye. Be careful, my darling. Okay.
Magda! Magda! Oh, you gotta help me, Magda.
Carl, what is the matter with you?
Read the cards for me.
Are you ill? Are you all right?
Can you read the cards for me, Magda, please? Can you read the cards for me?
The gods don't work unless you pay me.
I can pay you.
I will let you. This is chocolate, you fool.
Oh. That's at least worth a palm reading, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Now let's see.
What does it say?
It says that you will marry a girl
Yes?
named Pansy Faye.
Pansy Faye? I'm gonna marry Pansy. What else does it say?
It says that she will get bitten by a vampire. Wait, there's more.
I don't want to see it.
There's more.
I don't...
I'm gonna dance for you. I'm gonna dance your cares away. I do the hoochie and tarara. Yay. And stuff like that.
Charity! What are you doing dressed up in that outfit?
What am I doing? These are my clothes.
What do you mean these are your clothes?
They are.
You're dressed up like some cheap, tawdry young woman.
Well, I am. Okay?
You are my... How dare you speak to your father this way?
Enough of you.
Ah!
I'm not your daughter. You and your Charity. Ooh, I don't have to have that silly name.
You are my daughter. Who do you think you are?
I'm Pansy Faye.
Pansy Faye. Ha! You are my daughter, Charity Trask. And we must exorcise this demon from within thee. Come, me daughter, we must pray. We must pray. You want to pray, don't you?
No.
Yes, we must pray.
No, I don't do that. No, no.
Then get upstairs.
I won't do it, and
Yes,
you're
you-
not the boss of me. No.
Now I will have this demon exorcised from thee. Get up. Get upstairs. Hurry. Get upstairs. Go. Be gone, daughter. Oh.
Now let's see that.
Get upstairs and stop. I must return to the academy and check on my students. Jameson.
Books, I swear. These books, like Shakespeare and stuff, I have to learn the preamble by tomorrow. And I have to learn the whole play of Romeo and Juliet. It is so ridiculous. It's crazy.
Jameson, what are you doing?
I'm just studying my play for Romeo and Juliet.
Are you studying your lessons like I asked you to?
Yes, I am.
Then why do I have your Bible here? I will strike thee across the head with this.
Stop it, Reverend Trask.
Get on
Stop
the
it.
floor. We must pray, my son. Get up this close. Get up. Have you... Get up. Get up when I... Listen. Have you been... I want you to recite the entire New Testament by tomorrow. You must memorize it all. Can you do that for me?
I don't know.
Sure you can. What is this you're reading?
Shakespeare.
This is filth.
Yeah. Stop, Reverend Trask. Stop it.
All right. I'm going to look in that closet. And what am I going to find in there? What am I Don't tell me. Don't tell me. I'm going to look into your closet. And I better not find... What is this wire hanger doing in your closet?
I don't know.
What? Come in here. I told you, no wire hangers ever!
I'm sorry, Reverend Trask.
I'm sorry, Reverend Trask, what?
I'm sorry, Reverend Trask, dearest.
When I taught you to call me that, I wanted you to mean it. Now get in there. Get in, I'm going to beat this. Come in, just get in this closet. Oh, and I'm going to beat.
Let me out, Reverend Trask. Let me out.
I'm going to get
Oh,
You can scream all you like, but you will stay in there until you have repented this sin.
Join us for another exciting adventure of Dark Shadows tomorrow.
back room at the Blue Whale, I get by with little help from my friends. And here's Cassie now with Cassie's Corner and a very important message.
Hi, it's Cassie again. And this video is about safety, and it's much more serious than the video that I did about other safety tips and frequently asked questions. I'm doing this video because of recent activities by ICE in various locations around the country. And in addition, because sometimes an emergency can come up at a convention, at a concert, at a mall, and at a school. Okay, and to be more specific, I'm talking about someone who comes in with a gun and wants to start shooting. I'm sad that I have to do this. First tip is before you even come to the convention, see if you can get a floor plan or if you can get an idea of where all of the exits are in the hotel, the entrances as well, stairwells. You want to be aware of all of those things for your own safety. I had also mentioned earlier, and I'm going to repeat this, that you designate a spot where if you're in a group of friends, you designate a specific spot where you all check in with each other. You should have a buddy system. It's not a good idea to travel anywhere alone. So a lot of times people come to the convention and they're not in a particular group. If you're not in a group, but you notice that there's say a group of people who are going to the restroom, you just tag along. And then you try to meet up with people that you can develop a buddy system with. It's really important. And then it's also important sometimes to have emergency type gear with you. So if they don't like the big backpacks, but like if you have a small carry bag or a small little backpack that you could bring along a flashlight in case the lights go out. You can have a whistle in there, or you can have one of those thingies that you press the button, it whoop, 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 makes a loud noise. And you definitely are going to want to have a phone charger with you at all times. Now that's all before you get to interacting and moving around the convention itself. Okay, now say you are going to go outside of the hotel to shop or maybe to eat in a restaurant. You're going with a buddy or you're going with a group. Everybody should take off the badges and secure them in a safe place so that when you come back into the hotel, you can put the badge back on. Why? Why do you have to do this? Well, these days, because if you're wearing a badge and there are people seeking to be confrontational, they can view a badge as, oh, this person is an outsider. And they can make you a target because of the badge that you're wearing. Okay, I really hate this, but it's a possibility. You want to look around you at all times and look for a red flag behavior. You want to see maybe people that are behaving in a way that is not typical of the way people behave. You want to look for clothes that maybe aren't really appropriate for where they are. And an example of this I can think of is from Columbine. The two students wore these long coats, and beneath the coats, they could conceal a weapon. And that's kind of what you want to keep an eye out for. You want to make sure that you are noticing your environment around you. Okay, now what if you see something that doesn't look right to you and you're inside the convention? Okay, it's just kind of like odd behavior that you wouldn't expect from another festival or another convention attendee. Go and find security. Tell them what you saw or what you heard. It's that old, if you see something, say something. If you hear something, say something. Very important, because if you notice something that is a red flag and you bring it to the attention of security, it may prevent something from happening. Okay, now back in terms of the flashlight and the cell phone. When you are in your room for the night, keep those two items handy. You can either put them on the floor, or you can also keep them on the table that's next to the bed. But you want to be able to grab them in case of an emergency. Alarm goes off, there's a fire alarm or whatever. You want to be able to grab that flashlight and the phone, because the lights may go out and you're going to need to be able to see where you're going. And you're going to need the phone in case you need to contact someone immediately. All right, so now say you're at the convention and someone starts to get upset. Someone starts to yell. Someone starts to act in an aggressive manner. It looks like there's going to be a confrontation that could become physical. You want to get away from that. Okay. People sometimes are curious. Oh, look, what's going on over there? Let me go and see. But it's not a good idea. The idea is you have to protect yourself. So if you see something starting to happen, get out of there. Okay, so now let's say there's an active threat going on. Say this person who is becoming increasingly aggressive actually produces a weapon. Okay, there is a protocol for this. It's called run, hide, or fight. All right. So the first option is, if you can, run away, get out of there. If you are not able to run for some reason, maybe you're too close to the aggressor, the second option is hide. Find a place somewhere that you can put yourself out of sight. That's not always possible, okay? So then there's the third option, which is kind of the least thing that you want to do, but you have to do it. If you feel like your life is going to be in danger because of what is happening, you need to interfere with what the aggressor is trying to do. So you need to throw yourself at this person's body in an attempt to throw them off track so that they're not going to commit an injury. Now, you yourself could become injured. That's the reason why this is a last resort. And this is what has been happening in these confrontations with ICE, and also with people who come in and for whatever reason, they're explosive and they want to commit violence, their acts of mayhem. Okay, now say you are on the floor and there's lots of people around, and people start to panic and they all start to run. Okay, the idea there is, don't go against the flow. You want to move say you're in a rip tide, okay, and you know how they tell you to swim parallel? Okay, what you want to do is you want to move in a diagonal manner toward the edge of this crowd that is like running. And you want to keep your arms like this across your chest. And that is to protect your ribs so that you're able to breathe as you yourself are running. Okay, so is there anything you can do to de-escalate a conflict? There's a couple of things that you can do. If someone is becoming aggressive or they're complaining actively, or, they're just kind of bothering you in some way with their behavior, what you want to do is keep a safe distance, back off from them 3 to 6 feet. Okay, maybe it means get out of line and go to the back of the line to get away with someone who is, potentially going to react in a negative way. Okay. Don't worry about going to the end of the line. It's better than being caught right into a confrontation. Okay, now say someone is communicating with you and they're angry about something. Okay, is something, I don't even know why, but they're angry. You want to keep yourself calm. Whatever they're saying, don't become defensive. You want to avoid moving suddenly. You want to avoid pointing, because if you point, that's like issuing a challenge to a person. So absolutely do not point at someone who is uh, becoming angry or aggressive with you. And then the other way to manage this would be back off. Just disengage from the interaction and say, okay, I understand. And then don't make a sudden move, but just, I understand. I'll talk to you later. And then just kind of slowly turn away and move toward, say, another crowd of people that you can blend into. Or if you need to, spot a security guard and move toward that guard and give them a heads up that this person seems to be a little bit overly aggressive about something. All right, so people who are attending the convention for the first time, or you're a frequent attender, I'm not saying all of this to make you scared or paranoid. But these are things to be mindful of, because it's not like it used to be anymore. Now you have to be wary of your surroundings, and you have to keep an eye out for other people that might become a potential problem, because the main goal is for you to keep yourself safe. Okay. All right, everybody, I'll talk to you another time. Bye-bye.
It can be scary to try new things, but it's going to be okay. You can try and you can fail, or you can try and you can succeed. But you can try. Thank you so much for joining me here at the back room at the Blue Whale. I hope you enjoyed yourselves, and we look forward to seeing you again. Here where the legions of the damned salute you. Bye, cousin.
The Back Room at the Blue Whale is a Dark Shadows podcast.